how do you do this? So you're the curator for Prescott, Arizona. It turns out that I just punted and took the easy way out. So all the configuration and metadata and all the registry stuff is just in Delicious, right? So if you want to start up a hub for Toronto or for some neighborhood in Toronto, you just invent a Delicious account, and you go and you bookmark you bookmark some special metadata URL, and you start to feed little bits of metadata in that govern the aggregator. This tells it it's Prescott, Arizona, and that's enough to get eventful and upcoming kind of bootstrapped, and they'll collect everything they can find. And there's more stuff you can tell it about the radius and the default template, CSS, blah blah blah. But the real issue, right, is how do you get people to understand this possibility of publishing calendar feeds? Because it is just widely available and completely underappreciated or unappreciated. So you got to be kind of a guerrilla about this. For a while, I was getting a lot of mileage out of this thing called FuseCal, which is a very cool service that could read what people think of as calendar information on the web, and could turn it into what machines understand as calendar information on the web, and that can then be syndicated. And that was great, except, right, they just went out of business. So, I'm back to kind of figuring out how to reach people who are the authoritative sources for this information and show them they can publish it themselves. This is the reality, right? I mean, it turns out that there's a square dancing club in my town that meets on whatever it is, first and third Saturday of every month. And how it was described on the web was in a PDF newsletter, right, where the actual information was in the caption of an illustration in the PDF newsletter, right? So this is what people actually do, right? But yet, at the same time, they have the notion that what they want to do is put the information out in a way that people can connect with it. They're upset that nobody found the club, nobody joined it, right? But they're publishing PDF files that don't push structured information out for anything to work with. So, this is, I think, actually the challenge, right? The other challenge is to get people to even think that they can be authoritative for their own information. So, in this example, my newspaper continued to, for about a year, publish the fact that the Monday Night Chess Club was at the Best Western Hotel, long after it had moved to the Flame Hotel. Why is that? Because the model is that the chess club takes a copy of information, brings it to the newspaper, says, please publish this for me, right? That's the service you provide as publication, right? When the information goes stale, there's no mechanism to refresh it. And, the chess club is now supposed to, figure out all the touch points that it gave copies of the information to and refresh it. There's no model, either in the mind of the event owner in this case, of publishing a feed, and there's definitely also no model in the mind of the newspaper of subscribing to feeds, right? In other words, I don't want to be in the middle of this, right? I just want to provide infrastructure so that the newspaper can say, let's invite the people in our town to publish feeds, let's show them how to do it, right? And then we, in fact, are the natural center of attention. And, we can be the place where people expect to find the stuff and will find the stuff. So people need to be authoritative about their own stuff, have the idea of pushing out feeds. The natural aggregators and attention centers in communities need to think about bringing those feeds in and working with them. And so those are expectations I'm trying to change. Another one is just about structured information. So I had a conversation with my high school principal, and I said, it frustrates me, I can't find out what's going on at the high school. And he said, did you find weekly.pdf on the website? And I was like, yeah, I did. And that's great, Alan. If my kids' high school activities were the only thing in the world that I cared about, I could visit weekly.pdf periodically and read it, and I would know what was going on. But if you think about the other things that are going on in my life, and how am I going to do that times 10 or 100 or 1,000, you see that that doesn't kind of work, right? But, he doesn't have the concept of what I'm starting to call computational thinking, right? Which is to say that even very well-educated, very capable professional adults like this guy have not been taught and do not have any innate understanding of the difference between something like a PDF file published to the web and some kind of piece of structured data published to the web. They don't understand it, they aren't teaching it, and aren't learning it, right? So I think that this is really sort of part of the larger ambition here, is to inculcate this notion of a form of digital literacy that has to do with understanding about structured data and feeds and what people can and should be doing with them. these are just some more examples of cases where people should be able to have the concept of forming URLs to answer questions, for example, right? And we do this. I think probably everybody in this room does this automatically and naturally, but it's not really out there in the zip base. I do have some hope, though. This happened a little while ago, and what I loved about it was the quote, right? So Lindsay posts topless picture on Twitter. May have been bored, but she wasn't dumb. She tagged Ben Lyons and gossip blogger Perez Hilton in the photo's caption, right? So what I kind of like about this is it says that she had this notion that I don't actually have to push information to people. I can produce a feed, right? And I can have some notion that they're going to subscribe to the feed. And then by manipulating the metadata on that feed, I can actually achieve certain kinds of effects, right? And influence the world in the ways that I want to. And so, that gives me hope, ironically. So that's it, right? I'm actually, this is not a pitch to the software crowd, really, because you guys all get this, you live this, you've internalized this model, right? What I want to ask you to do, though, is think about the degree to which the people in your lives, who would never come to a meeting like this, but who are actually in possession of the information about the soccer club, about the square dance, about all the stuff that collectively represents the social capital that we'd like to be able to marshal and make available in our communities, right? That those people, they have the information and they have the tools, they just don't have the idea. They don't have the idea that they could be putting this stuff out there in the way that we could all glom onto. It can be done in a decentralized way, and it can be effective, and it could actually work. So I want to partner with newspapers for the obvious reason. I want to partner with libraries because I think that libraries are, in a way, sort of natural curators for a community, and this could be a good role for them. And I want to work with schools because I think there are a lot of neat projects here for kids to work on some of this stuff. So anyone who has connections into those worlds, I would love to hear from, because I'm wide open to bringing people in and working on it. Thank you.
It'll be truly impressive when Amy Winehouse can post metadata. She's in bad shape. Any questions?